every year.
There's a total disconnect now between the ruling group and the masses.
I hate psychology.
Clear out.
They're the same worm-like characters.
Analysts.
Fuck you with your stupid argument.
They should not bother us.
Democracy. All of this just works.
But for the generations that are coming.
Fully dynamic game engine.
A millennial video essayist.
Always support strength.
Constant cradle.
And identity.
I haven't yearned.
They are a disease of our time.
Clear them out. You're voting for what your grandfather and father fought for.
I sit and yearn.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the...
Are we having technical issues, or is it just on my side?
No, I think it's on... Hang on. It was working fine. Am I back?
Yeah, you're really loud, and then you were a little bit muted.
That was strange, yeah. I could see it like flashing on my microphone as well. Welcome back to another episode of the Longhouse, the weekly show for the sensible centrist. Here we go. Bill Wilson in the chat says, can we stop talking about coal and focus on more important things like power metal or chainsaws? Well, I have already done a stream on power metal, and well, did we talk about chainsaws on Tool Talk? I can't quite remember.
We should do like a separate show that's just Tool Talk here. We sit and review power tools.
I mean, that's what Burkle and I did on the meme stream for like half of it.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Maybe we could do some music stuff later. I don't know. I'm not that up on the music scene, to be honest.
Is
metal dead?
Yeah, is metal dead? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Chat is metal dead. Let's see here. Well, I mean, talking about coal, yes, this is sort of getting into the grime of it, but we are sort of like a week and a half from the election, and it's kind of hard not to, it's kind of hard to ignore it, to not sort of talk about it. We might be able to get you some sort of perspectives that you're not used to. Otherwise, we're just going to have some fun with it, because this is really getting to strange proportions, and not just because, you know, American politics is crazy and performative. It's just we're twisting ourselves into a bit of a Gordian knot here, I think. Okay,
yeah, it's difficult to keep track of, but I feel like this election has been like one of the weirder ones probably ever. I don't have any reference points for how exceptionally strange the stuff that's been going on has been. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of time between each of them, so it's hard to keep any kind of objective perspective on that, because you change in 4 years quite a bit. I just feel like there's been so many kind of strange events happening, and there still might be these October surprises that people are talking about. There's going to come out some crazy new thing. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a nothing burger, but yeah, we'll be sure to cover that if it happens.
Yes, very good. Yeah, that's also something I laughed about, is people are calling it the most important election in our lifetime. And I saw like a Norwegian sort of foreign coverage election program on this as well. And one of the reporters said as well that this is probably the most important election since 1776. And I was like, well, no. I'm not sure about that. It seems to be unfortunately, one of the more unimportant elections of our time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. We have to do a tier list on most of the least important elections of our time. Sure, we'll go into B tier or something. I don't think we know before we're on the other side. Honestly, it's very hard to tell before.
I mean, Trump
anybody's done anything.
Instantly, yeah. You know, the jackboots are on and the American empire is there. You know, it could be the most important election of our time. Maybe Trump does it. Maybe he goes full retard.
Yeah, I mean, if Trump wins and does nothing, essentially he just sets the record for oldest president and most vacation days
Yes.
of any president, which I think is likely he's going to do. If he wins, he's going to do that anyway, just because of his age. He
don't
was
know.
the record.
It's
He
hard
was
to
the
say.
record holder before
Hard to
Biden,
say.
and then
But
Biden
it's
took
hard
that
to
record.
say because on one hand, people are saying that sort of the regime knows how to handle Trump and would sort of prefer Trump to any sort of more radical element as a way to give the white boys a win. On the other hand, the Trump administration will be entering sort of power much more prepared than they were last time, in order to sort of get policy decisions through. Whether or not they'll succeed, of course, is another matter.
Yeah, it does. I mean, in regards to the regime, I think, there's just a lot of fractions of the United States system that are just more comfortable with Trump, or the idea that Trump has a lot of fans. That's just kind of my take on it. I don't think that they are comfortable with like controlling him or using him in any matter like that. They've just kind of resigned themselves to the fact that he is really, really popular, and it's not going to go away. You can't replace him with anybody else. So they figured out that you might as well just ride or die on this thing. Yeah. That's kind of the conclusion that I have, especially when you look at the people that surround him now, and like given the backgrounds that they have, how many of them that were anti-Trumpers or never Trumpers, or like previous Democrats, they've just kind of like, okay, this is like the opportunity.
MAGA, I guess.
I guess MAGA now.
Okay, so we'll start with a report from Norwegian newspapers with their correspondents in America saying that Kamala Harris is struggling to sort of connect with black men. And there's a quote from Martin Luther King III saying, "I am surprised."
Are we surprised?
Sorry, what?
Are we surprised?
I don't know. I would say that we wouldn't be surprised. We've been talking a long time about how Trump has been either advertently or inadvertently playing to the black man. And especially, you have the mug shot and everything, hyping that up even further.
Yeah, I think there's really something to the kind of progressive idea that like black women are at the bottom of the privilege ladder, right? Because they can't even expect in-group loyalty from black men if they try to run for office. But I mean, like the black population of the United States has been presented as being very monolithic, right? And I think there's a lot of people who are in the, let's say, like the nationalist space, the kind of identitarian white nationalist space, who are in some sense jealous of black people because of their alleged in-group preference. But I think the in-group preference that they have is a lot more nonsensical, in a sense that it's a lot stranger, and it has very many quirks to it that is not entirely apparent. Of course, like they will band together around the cause if they feel like they're being attacked. But I mean, I have some clips that we could watch later, but they have certain thoughts about, for instance, I think they're skeptical about being led by one of their own, and especially being led by a woman who's of their own group. And like generally, I think there's sort of, I have this from Charles White, the kind of like the interview that he did about Johnny Dang. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, where he talked about like, why can't black people find like a black jeweler, for instance? Like all of these rappers are buying these grills and these horrible things they put in their mouth, like the diamond teeth and this kind of nonsense. But they, it's like a Korean guy and some Jewish guys that are making it for them. And he was asking the question, like, why can't you just find like one African man who will sell this to you? Like, we have to blow all this money on essentially crap jewelry from Jews or Asians. And they talked about how they don't trust other black people with selling them complicated goods, whether it would be like a car or a watch or insurance or something like that. Like, they just don't trust each other with that kind of stuff. So you have to have like a white man or a Jew or something to handle that for them. So there is a limit to how far they can go with their kind of in-group preference. And I think we're seeing that here as well. Like they have, in some sense, I think like they trust Trump as a sort of white man leader who is spiritually close enough to them.
I was about to say something that probably will get us banned from YouTube, but I guess I'll say genetic memories are real. Apparently,
you're still going a little bit in and out. I don't know if the audience is catching that, but sometimes you're loud and sometimes you're very low. Do you have like a problem with positioning or something? Hello? Did I lose him?
am I back? I think my microphone.
I hear you. It's mic time. Yeah, you might need a new.
My mic is dying.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll have to last us an hour at least, so we could do the stream. But yeah, let's check out the article.
Sure. So, when Kamala Harris was in Erie, Pennsylvania, she stopped by Ishmael Trainer. He and his wife had just opened a coffee shop. There, she met local black leaders and small business owners. In the run-up of the election campaign, it turns out that the support of black men is on the waning front. I see myself as a free thinker, says Trainer. This newspaper met him the day after he had Harris visiting. If only black men voted, Kamala Harris would win a victory over Donald Trump. Nevertheless, her apparatus is worried about this specific group. The support is not as great as they think it should be from the elections in 2020 and 2016. A big measurement the New York Times recently did illustrates this. Black men choose Harris over Trump by a margin of 70-20. By comparison, she wins black women with 83-12. The alarm seems to have run for the Harris camp. Blacks are a very important electorate for Democrats. The party needs a large turnout of African Americans to make up for Donald Trump's leadership among white men and leadership in terms of like him being ahead among white men and rural voters. Therefore, the campaign is now running hard with specific measures to ensure that the message reaches out to black men. Obama, Usher, and MLK. Harris has been on several popular podcasts with black men as presenters, including one with former basketball stars. She also participated in recordings at the BET Hip Hop Awards, where she was interviewed by rappers Fat Joe and Too Short. I've never heard of those, but I'm not big on rap. Barack Obama is being used more and more to draw important swings, likability in important swing states where the election will be decided. Harris will hold meetings with him in Georgia and Michelle Obama in Michigan. On Saturday, she held an election meeting in Atlanta with rap star Usher. Last week, the party brought in Martin Luther King III, son of the Peace Prize winner, for a digital meeting with the press.
So I'm a little bit confused. I mean, is Usher clean now? Because was it P. Diddy who had like all these court cases involving minors? Now it's P. Diddy and it's the other. No, it's R. Kelly actually. It's P. Diddy is the guy who has like the grooming stuff. He's doing all the exploitation things, and then it's R. Kelly who had like all these run-in with minors. So I mean, I in my mind they're sort of interchangeable, like R. Kelly and Usher. But I assume that Usher is still
kind of R&B, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like this kind of mush of R&B that went on the radio in the 2000s. I'm glad that's over.
Me too.
But I assume they don't have anything on Usher yet, so he's still viable to roll out for the black meat.
Last week, the party brought in Martin Luther King III, son of the Peace Prize winner, for a digital meeting with the press. My father used to say that people without voices is a people without power, says King. He bragged about Harris and he rebuked Trump. Trump has repeatedly questioned Harris's identity as black. Her mother was Indian and her father is from Jamaica. King has no doubt. She grew up in a black church. We have heard her talk about how that is the foundation of her faith, King said. I mean, it's certainly one attack angle for Trump, and it's not necessarily unheard of or sort of impossible, because you'll hear it when you hear Kamala speak to black people. She'll speak more, Ebonic, to appeal to them, essentially. But I wouldn't say that means she's undecided on her sort of heritage. I mean, Jamaica, I think, should be good enough, but maybe it's not for Americans.
Well, I get the impression that the let's say like the black identity or the kind of black ethnic group is very inclusive. As long as you like a slightly darker like shade of brown than the whitey.
If you
know,
can't
she's not white passing. So
Yeah.
I think she would, it would not, at least just based on a just physiognomy perspective, wouldn't be hard for her to fit in there. But
Yeah,
I have no idea if
I don't
they
think
look
black. Well, maybe she does. She is able to trace herself back to like which plantation she belonged to, or something.
Does she? I think she was like some
I
Jamaican
don't know.
immigrant or something with like Brahmin
I have
parents.
no idea. Yeah.
Is that her parents or is that somebody else?
No, this is Martin Luther King III and his wife Andrea Waters. So, unmatchable contempt. Trump. He has no kind words to say about Trump, to put it gently. In Trump, we have an extremely self-centered candidate, King says. He has an incomparable disdain for our democracy and our Constitution. Trump in New York was sued because he refused to rent to blacks. Later, Trump called for the execution of the Central Park Five. What is the Central? Oh, is this the bombings?
No, I think it was some criminal gang in
yeah.
in New York.
Sure.
He put out an ad or something.
He has always been like that, always promoting hatred, discord, and self-interest. The numbers may be pumped. The legend's son is not very happy that some black men will support Trump. I'm surprised. Trump has some black support. Perhaps it's even larger than any other Republican in recent years, he admits. At the same time, he believes the numbers are artificial and pumped up. He refers to, among other things, allegations and rumors about the purchase of votes. So now it's just like the Democrats sort of blaming Trump for like necromancing votes.
It's the retard bucks. They goes around in Walmart and just hands out dollar bills or something.
Yeah.
I didn't see him do that in black areas. I mean, I do think his black support is genuine. By the way,
I think so too. Yeah,
we talked about these various ideas for like why. I think he's quite appealing to that demographic, and I mean, yeah, it seems to be true. It seems to be holding up. I was listening to some podcast. I don't remember exactly. It was some kind of like New York Times podcast when they were talking about Georgia, and from the polls, it looks like the Republicans will take Georgia this year. Which is interesting because, last election 4 years ago, the Democrats took Georgia with what they called the four Zoomers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just looking at Tetrarch saying going to need a four Zoomers. This is a while ago. I'm just curious what he needed a four Zoomers for. Sorry,
the Central Park 5 or something, maybe. So, but yeah, Georgia was typically like a Republican district, and then they had in 2020 what they call the Stacey Abrams strategy that, well, actually Georgia is blue because there's so many black people in Georgia, in the sense that you just need to make them turn out and then you could flip that state blue. But then the new MAGA campaign is basically like, no, actually those black people are MAGA positive. And they seem to be correct to a certain extent. So it looks, I mean, yeah, by everything that seems to be adding up, and it seems genuine.
Oh, okay. He's saying Usher. He's going to need a four Zoomer explanation of Usher. Well, I mean, it's not specifically Usher, but for Zoomers, any music before sort of 1998 was pretty much just dad rock. It was AC/DC. That was it. That was every music. That was the only music that was ever played. And then in 1998, the black man invented music, and Usher, Akon, and R. Kelly were part of the first wave of music. So that's that.
Yeah, Usher has a song called "Yeah" with Lil Jon. I mean, this was like a club hit, right? That's his most famous.
I'm of course just joking around. It's just, I mean, around the 2000s, there were a bunch of like R&B guys crossing over into rap and pop, and then that drifted into the mid 2000s, where like single artist piano people were the thing for a while, and then I don't know what came after that. It was like Beyonce and the
Well, yeah,
umbrella
I don't
thing.
know. I felt like the decade leading up to Obama being elected was it felt like a sort of priming to make white people like black people better.
Almost,
Yeah, that's how I felt living
sort
in
of
that era.
selling
Like
selling the black
yeah.
turtleneck glasses wearing, you know, African American to white people to prime them for Obama.
Well, it didn't matter really, like what kind of black person, whether it would be like black TV shows or black music in the R&B or the hip hop of the 2000s. So just pushing. I think if you were to poll that, I don't have the polls right now, but you know, white people's general perception of black people, it was probably on top in the late, like before Obama was elected. And I think there was sort of a fatigue there when it turns out that it wasn't everything they had hoped for in terms of in terms of presidential leadership or whatever. I think there was just sort of through Obama's era, because he stayed for 2 terms, there's certain end fatigue, you could say. At least that's just my analysis of it. I think maybe we should go back and look at those decades.
Sure.
I'd say so not those decades, but those terms. What actually happened and try to salvage what was good about it. But I just remember, you know, a lot of R&B, a lot of hip hop, a lot of superficial music, and really trying to massage the black experience, kind of the black culture into white culture in as many areas as possible. And
but
that seems to have tapered off.
But in like you know, we're all different colors of the rainbow, multiculturalism, you know, in a very Rush Hour type way.
Well, it wasn't woke in that sense.
That's why you have to return to Fresh Prince, right? Because that's when it was good, the multiculturalism.
And they did give these people license to speak a lot more openly. Like if they were black, they could sort of say what everybody was thinking, or you could do the black comedy stuff, like the Chris Rock, the 2 types of black people. What do you call it? Like the Black Civil War stuff, like that kind of stuff. That was actually kind of rough. And then the appeal of that fell down with the woke stuff. But yeah, we should just focus on this article and not do too much memory lane about this before we get completely off track with the schedule.
And we get demonetized and banned from YouTube. Okay. Loans for entrepreneurs. In Erie, the owner of the cafe Legendary has landed after a few days of the whirlwind, as he describes it, in front of the Harris visit. She was very nice, says Trainer. He also thought the conversation about small business was a suitable topic with all the local leaders gathered. Harris just released a list of measures aimed at helping black men make it to sort of get ahead financially. Among other things, she promises $1 million in loans to entrepreneurs. Sorry, I think it's $1 million loans to entrepreneurs, where up to 200,000 krona, which is about $20,000, can be forgiven on the loan. So you can have a $1 million loan, and you can have like 20% of it forgiven, I guess. Harris also wants more black men as teachers in school. Today, that's only 1%. Jesus. Why, without being racist, why aren't black men teaching?
Well, that's actually a good question. I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to do that. They don't like kids. Isn't that the stereotype?
There's a lot of black women teaching, right?
Yeah. I would assume it's more generally because women teach more. But I assume they maybe see that job as gay or something, demasculinizing.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's that one of the most recent Disney movies, Disney Pixar movies, Soul, right, where they have this black main character, and you know he's like in his 40s, and he has to take a teaching job to survive, in a sense. Like he's being pushed by his mother to do a teaching job, and even in that movie, it's sort of clear that like black men don't care for they don't care for that job at all, even if they're teaching something they like. They're just not interested.
Yeah. Kamala Harris will ensure that black men can succeed in the new marijuana economy after they have so far been overrepresented as being prosecuted for such activities. That's a very strange way of
I think
translating it.
I think they've already succeeded in the marijuana economy.
But I think this is the translator. Let me just bring it
Yeah.
up real quick to check. Let's see. She wants to. No, they're saying that they can do a lot of success in the new marijuana economy, which I think what they're saying is that they can sort of thrive when marijuana becomes legalized instead of being persecuted.
Oh, they could sell it legally instead of being kicked to the curb by Vic Mackey and his
It's very strange.
strike team.
Yeah. Ishmael Trainer and his wife Alana started their business 30 days before Harris arrived. Before that, they lived by renting out Airbnbs. He confirms that funding is an important issue for Black entrepreneurs, and he hopes to gain a plus before the year has passed. I think he wants to be in the black before the year has passed. However, he's hesitant to say that anything about what Black voters should think and do. Everyone has their political views, he says. In a strongly divided United States, he also does not want to flag who he will vote for. He draws a comparison with hate speech in sport. He doesn't want people to say that his cafe is a Harris business or a Trump business. Then people won't come, he says. Trump is determined that Black voters should vote for him. He often points out that the economy went better under him, that immigrants take jobs from Blacks, and that Democrats take Blacks for granted. And he's the one who gave them the stimmy as well. That's a big one.
What is it, like the Diamond Plan or something? The Platinum Plan. That's the Trump program.
Any African American or Hispanic who votes for Kamala should have their head examined, he said. They are cheating you, Trump said in Atlanta last week. When Barack Obama recently spoke in Pittsburgh, he suggested that Black men were skeptical of a woman as president. He felt that the enthusiasm of his time was greater for him. Part of me is thinking, and I am now talking directly to men, that you're not quite into the idea of having a woman as president and inventing other reasons and explanations, he said. A measurement from YouGov recently showed that 48% of American men of all ethnicities hope that the United States do not choose a woman in their lifetime.
That certainly doesn't help.
It's almost, as you said, it's more a woman thing than it's a race thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting in those cases where like the gender trumps the racial aspect to it. But yeah, you have these two clips, so maybe you should show that one tweet where they're going around in Chicago. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see here. Percent screen. Come on. So this is, I'm not sure if this is actually like a plant, if this is a campaign, or if it's organic, or what it is. But this is some guy who's set up a camera he's working behind the counter at some like corner shop in Chicago, and he's talking to, a bunch of gentlemen about who they're going to vote for.
Oh, come on, bro. Harris does backwards, bro.
What?
Harris.
Man, we not voting for that, man. We voted for Trump, man.
Why?
Man, we not with none of that, man. Chuck be looking out for the Black community, man. We ain't doing nothing, man.
I respect. You all good, my boy.
All right, man. Just move.
And who you voting for, Trump or Kamala?
Man, Trump. We ain't that Indian ass, man.
Who, Kamala?
Yeah, we ain't.
Why you don't f*** her?
Because she them immigrants. I'm Black. Them Venezuelans taking all our bread. They out here creating gangs. They ass gang banging, breaking in bed.
I can't get through this.
We're only 30 seconds in. Maybe we can do a minute at least.
We can keep going. Just it's getting to. I mean, if this is staged, this is incredibly racist. So
they seem to have known the talking points at least, but usually you do that if they're on social media or something.
Yeah.
Cribs, all type of good shit. We ain't with it.
So you don't like an open border?
Nope. We need that border.
This is the Venezuelans are going to come here and they're going to shoot all the crimes and it's the crimes that we used to do and whatever. You're really getting into like a fucked up situation here, right? They're taking our crimes.
They took our jobs.
Yeah.
They took our abandoned houses.
Statistically, in a city like Chicago, that seems to be what it is, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many of those immigrants reach Chicago. I think that's pretty far up, honestly, from the
No,
border.
I'm just
but,
thinking about like the crime statistics of Chicago. I mean, they're not here to take your robberies. They're gonna take your jobs, right?
yeah, unless your job is in the illegal weed economy. But
No, it's now legal, like
yeah,
the black. It's the age of the black man. The weed economy is gonna bring us back. We're gonna have, what was it, like the Harlem Renaissance, right?
we're looking forward to it.
Hey, what are your thoughts on when Trump got shot?
Man, hey, don't try to take my boy out. Make America great again.
Hell yeah.
Make America great again.
Hey, Trump or Kamala?
Shit, Trump, to be honest.
Yeah, so why Trump though?
Why Trump? Because shit, we used to get paid and shit. Like, he used to keep immigrants out, so we was able for us to get jobs. It's hard for us to get jobs now, shit, because immigrants taking over.
So you're not the Venezuelans?
I mean, it might be a real thing. Like, if you're a black man in Chicago, are the Venezuelans taking your jobs? Like, for real?
I honestly doubt that. To be honest, I'm not sure if they're moving that far up. I don't have any stats.
I know
just
they
going
are
off gut
moving.
feeling.
They're moving to. I mean, there are reports of them showing up, sort of in places like Michigan and New York. So it's not too far fetched. I'm just kind of curious about what are all these jobs that the black men are lining up for that are being taken
eight out of 10 times. I think this is something they've just read online, or it's some talking point that they have. I'm not saying that the immigrants are not coming, but I don't know if like Venezuelans are taking jobs from black men in Chicago.
Sure.
I'm gonna do doubt on that one.
I ain't gonna lie, they taking our jobs and some more shit. They do it better than us though, but they taking our.
Hey, I heard you're taking over the buildings. Is that true?
Hell yeah, boy.
Who would you vote for?
I'm not gonna vote for neither one of them, but like I said first time, if it's a choice, I'll go with Trump. She ain't no good. I'll put it like that. So whoever wanna believe and go in her, check her history. Y'all turn around then.
I mean, but we can make history.
Man, we could, but it's not gonna be history, bro. That's gonna start World War III soon as she get in. And y'all know that y'allself. Y'all trying to act like y'all don't know. It's gonna be World War III when she get in. Best believe that, man.
Trump?
Yeah.
Come on,
bro. He's not gonna vote.
Kamala's backwards, bro.
Sorry, what?
He's not gonna vote. Isn't that what he said? He's like, he believes Kamala will start World War III, but he's not voting.
Yeah.
Stop that. It's very interesting. He's probably like a Jill Stein voter or something.
What did Kamala? We voting for Trump, but what are you talking about? You know damn well we don't Kamala. Trump, you and Kamala.
Come on, bro. I can't even have my opinion.
They are speaking like as if this has sort of been decided by the black community, right?
Yeah, I'm 90% on this being staged to some degree, but I don't put it past people to be.
Again, if this is staged, this is incredibly racist, and I'm sorry to all the gentlemen, the fine gentlemen presented in this video. You deserve better.
Damn,
bro, you voted for you, so you with that all them Venezuelans? You with all that goofy?
Yeah.
Nah, ain't no yeah. That's why I shit up because of you.
Damn, bro.
I can't. There's like they're taking away because he's swearing so much. I can't tell what he's saying because they're removing the the subtitles.
I can't have my opinion on something.
No, not her.
Yeah,
not her. She bad for the community in the world. I think
yeah.
Vote for Trump, gang.
No, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Trump or Harris?
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
Oh, Trump?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I shouldn't even let you shop here.
What you mean?
Trump, bro?
Yeah.
Man, come on, bro. You know it's Harris all the way.
You said who?
It's Harris.
Who the fuck is that? Fuck that. Harris, boy.
Come on, Kamala.
Man, Kamala on, bro.
Yeah?
Shorty finna bring all the fags out. What you mean?
Come on, bro. What you doing?
Boy, Kamala, boy.
Yeah.
It's so hard to understand what they're saying sometimes.
I understood what he said, but I'm not going to repeat it. But then we also have, I had this one here. Let me bring this up. Of Tucker Carlson recently in, where was he? He was in, was it Georgia? I think. Recently, where he says,
You're going to wind up in. There has to be a point. comes home. Point at which dad comes home. Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's gonna have to let them know. He's gonna have to get to your room right now and think about what you did.
Where is this
And when
going?
dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl.
Oh, this is perfect.
Bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right
But
now.
I'm not sure if it would have been better if he said boy.
Oh, he's still going? Oh, no, let's hear it.
It's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did. That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of...
I don't even know what it said in the spirit of, to be honest. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I can't, my brain can't process this. Like, this is like Will Ferrell in my head or something, like some kind of sketch film, Saturday Night Live or something from the 2000s. I can't even believe this is real, but he is tapping into, you know, something deeper here. I think in terms of his base and the way that they think about this this problem.
I do agree, but did he have to put it that way?
Yeah, it's very explicit. I think it's naked, it's vulnerable. It's interesting from an artistic point of view. It's a bit scary when you think of that. It's like, this is politics. This is what they actually choose to put forward. But yeah, in terms of just touching on the kind of like deeper
kink shaming of your entire voter base, and they love it.
Deeper, you know, psychology of what's going on there. It's yeah, that is coming home and he's drunk. He's drunk again. He's got the belt.
He's had fucking enough.
He's had it. Dad is out of prison. It's been 4 years. But things are going to be different now.
He's back and he found the cigarettes. All right. So, you wanted to talk a little bit about polarization in Silicon Valley.
You could. I linked a thread in the private chat. You could probably bring that up because it's an interesting topic. Something that I saw on Twitter. Where they've been talking about, like, you look at this graph here. So it's from a larger article that is linked further down, but here you're seeing like graphs from the bottom. Here you have like the 2000s, and you're seeing like how the political climate in Silicon Valley has actually shifted over the years. Where it seems like in the 2000s you had the like the libertarian bros and more of the moderate types, and then it's like you get the emergence of the woke capital, the DEI economy, and then the last 4 years it's just been kind of it's just been a shift where the MAGA stuff has actually seems to have overtaken the woke Silicon Valley types. So it's very interesting. Let's see if you can find the article.
It's interesting because in 2016, in 2020, the meme is, you know, the left me sort of, and the left have gone bananas, right? But it seems like the right in Silicon Valley decided to just go even more bananas. This is the one.
Yeah, that's the article.
Oh, it opened in a new tab. 1 moment. And now it's... Oh, it wants to... Hang on.
Is it behind the paywall?
It wasn't behind the paywall like a moment ago. What the hell happened? Hang on.
Just try again. I mean, this guy has some more...
I'm not allowed. Sorry.
Oh, well. We can at least read the thread.
Sure.
So, but yeah, this guy presents... let's look at the post here. It looks a little bit blurred
So he says 25 years ago, most big tech and VC executives were moderates. Then the whole sector shifted gradually leftwards up until 2020. And now suddenly we have a sharp divide in Democrat backers and Trump backers. Some brilliant analysis, some papers. Let's see here. To answer a common question, yes, the real mega donors certainly still skew more conservative. Per Riley Steele's analysis, the higher up the corporate ladder you go, the more right-leaning people are, but on average, all executive roles are shifting leftwards. That's kind of interesting. So are all the people on the right, I say all, like, are people on the right in corporate America being sort of shifted one level down? Essentially.
It's an interesting question. This graph is hard to understand because they have like the time on the y-axis and the left right on the x-axis, but then you have to have that for it to be left and right. So this is confusing no matter how you split that. But
it depends on what's sort of in this number. Is that the amount of people, or is it like a qualitative analysis on their views, right?
Yeah, would also be interesting to see how exactly they break down political affiliations. But yeah. I do assume it's sort of connected more to this more kind of environmentalist and equity-based thinking. It's also interesting, like why there's a split, say, between as you go up the ladder. You think this is like an individualism thing, like what do you call it? Like might makes right kind of
maybe
psychology or something.
Like it's Gordon Geckoism. Is that it?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
It might be that you lean more sort of libertarian. I mean, if this is also specifically in Silicon Valley, you could also overlap it with a lot of libertarian, or at least liberal in the sort of classical sense, thought being the basis for a lot of, sort of computer communities, right?
Yeah, I don't think these are like right-leaning in terms of being fundamentalist Christian, right? They're probably just very individualist.
Yeah.
It's say like guy. What's the Oracle CEO? I forget his name here. Just a moment.
Let's see here. Another common question: has SV just SV? What is that? Just polarized because there are no moderates to donate to. If you look at particular people's donations over time, it used to be common to donate evenly to both sides. Oh, so this is donations. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, it's Larry Ellison. That's who I was thinking about. That's kind of the who are the big guys like Larry Ellison, Sergey Brin, Zuckerberg is in there. Elon is there now. Maybe some of the people who are listening know more of these execs, but I don't see any of them being like hard, traditionalist in any way. But it's probably more of like a survival of the fittest type thinking, or low taxes.
Sure.
It's kind of tax haven, one man's an island type thinking. Huh. Sorry if I interrupted the flow.
No, there's only more questions here from people in the comments of this. One guy is asking whether or not it's there's just less moderate candidates to contribute to. But John Byrne Murdoch says if you look at the spread of individuals' donations over time, it used to be common for executives to donate evenly, but now they sort of just throw all their millions to one side or the other. Like they just go all in on one or two candidates.
That might have to do with the politics also being so polarized, because that was just not the case in the early 2000s. I think.
Yeah, fair.
Say like a Democrat like Bill Clinton or something was fairly right on many things. He was trying to do that sort of Tony Blairist right left, what do you call it, like the third way, third way Democrats.
Yeah.
So the world was more centrist back then. Another theory that was floated in the comments, by the way, was really the chairman of the Security and Exchange Commission that was appointed by Joe Biden, Gary Gensler, and like he's been striking down really hard on crypto rules in terms of trading crypto, and they suspect that that's part of the reason that they're going right. I didn't know that there was so much money in crypto, but apparently there is, and it's going to be concentrated in Silicon Valley. So if they feel like they don't have crypto-friendly legislation that they're going to push back pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I think that's a possible reason. But I mean, yeah, maybe we could jump on to the next.
Yeah, dovetailing off of that is an, I guess, interesting article because it's a bit interesting to see sort of like a, I'm not going to call it a shit lib, but a more mainstream take on the Elon Musk sort of phenomenon and sort of riff on that with our perspectives. So we've featured this woman before when she talked about, you know, the fallout of Trump's assassination attempt. And so we'll try to feature her again and see what she has to say. She is a political commentator in one of the Norway's top papers. So the world's richest man tries to buy the world's most powerful country. Musk seems to be buying up American democracy these days. He's putting he's putting all his eggs in one basket to help Donald Trump return to the White House. The Tesla entrepreneur is taking on the task with intense commitment. He has already pumped at least $750 million into the election. This might be 750 kroner into the election campaign. And it's probably going to be much more. American media has the last few weeks uncovered that Musk has been secretly influencing American politics for years. He has used a network of organizations to hide his activities. Well, that's not necessarily unusual. It's just called lobbying.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a breakdown. I think the problem with a lot of these, mainstream newspapers is that they will have explain something like this, but they will leave details out of it. Like usually, you would need to see a kind of breakdown of exactly how this works, because I think a lot of people are not willing to take them on their word. There's a lot of skepticism towards them, towards the institution in general. So you'd have to be a little bit more specific instead of just claiming that they're using some kind of shadow organizations to hide. But
yeah, and it's quite possible that Musk has sort of political sort of advisors in a sense, where he just sort of tells them, yeah, I want to, set aside $2 million this month for right-leaning or Republican sort of lobby groups or volunteer groups, right? And he ends up giving to someone who organizes Trump's campaign indirectly. I'm not trying to whitewash sort of or to clear his record here.
But I think the
truth might be more complicated than she makes it sound like.
Yeah, that he's been doing this before Trump as well. It's at least what I interpret into this. But you can just go on and we'll see what she has to say.
Sure. Okay. Christina has the worst takes money can buy. I mean, that is very often true. In recent months, however, he has emerged from the shadows, like as if Elon has been ever sort of like a shadow operator, paying the voters. It is perfectly normal for the richest people in the United States to give large sums of money to their preferred candidates and expect services in return. It happens to both parties. Kamala Harris has close ties to the money power, both in careful there, Christina. Both in Silicon Valley and Wall Street. She has several influential billionaires in her inner circle of advisors. She also drags around entrepreneurial and billionaire Mark Cuban to convince skeptical voters that she too will be a president of the empire. Wait, president of the empire? What is she referring to here? One moment. This might be the translator speaking. Yeah, she wants to be the president that supports the increasingly rich, right? The incredible rich. But Musk has taken it a step further. He has started giving money directly to the voters. In recent weeks, the billionaire has had people sign a petition for freedom of speech and the right to carry weapons. The richest man in the world, has tempted $100 to all who signed the petition and refer a friend. He has also handed out checks of $1 million to randomly selected people who joined the movement. The condition for participating is that you're registered as a voter in a swing state. The whole thing is absurd and shameless, even in an election year that is most reminiscent of bad TV series. It is illegal to pay people to both vote and to register. Well, I guess it's a loophole if you can pay people, you can give people gifts if they are registered, because that happens all the time. If you're one of those like swing state voters, you usually get a bunch of gifts during election time, right?
Yeah, she does mention this in the article as well, but it seems to be peculiar to Elon, this behavior where he does things that are sort of in the gray zone in terms of legality, that have this kind of stunt quality to them, like what he's doing here, which I'm not even sure how effective it is, but it's something that just it brings so much attention to him personally, simply because of how kind of outrageous this seems on the surface.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not sure what you're getting out of that. I mean, are you actually getting people to turn up, or do you change people's minds? I mean, I've always wondered about this. If you're paying people to vote, if they'll just take the money and then vote for whatever they want in return, right? Because you never get.
It was the
there's no
conversion
guarantee
rate.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a conversion rate, and people have this, the reciprocity principle,
yeah,
as it's called, that they rely on in sales, that you just give people gifts, and because of they have some kind of innate instinct to just reciprocate. If they get something, they're gonna feel bad. But then again, if you're taking money to vote, you're probably kind of in the gray in terms of morality anyway. So yeah, maybe you just take that money and vote for whoever you like. Anyways, I have no like data on that at all. It's just an interesting question to me.
Yeah, she's gonna counterweight it a bit here. Musk is far from the only one who uses questionable methods to influence voters. U.S. election campaigns are often dirty and ruthless. Politicians push both the law and the truth very far. A lot of money is being spent on getting people to vote. I once accompanied a Democratic congresswoman to a reserve in South Dakota. There, the indigenous people got a cheap dinner while they heard the candidate speak before they were all stuffed into buses and driven to the polling stations. I just love sort of the unabashed sort of clarity that American democracy sometimes have.
But yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of these American elections. It's just so many people who are completely apathetic to the entire process.
It honestly seems like it's just like old school, sort of like my dad or like my great grandfather was a Pinkerton or something, or did some sort of mafioso work, right? And so I'm just kind of doing the same thing, but it's now just been legalized 100 years later. It's
but like there's just so many people who just don't give a shit, right? They say, oh yeah, just take the Big Mac and I'll put you in the bus and we'll drive you to the station. Just shove them into the voting booth and hopefully they'll cross the right line or something, type in the right name for it. I mean, it does make a difference when you get to the end. If it's going to be decided by like 500,000 votes, then you don't want to leave anything on the table. But yeah, there's something kind of almost like what do you call it, factory farming, like, about this system.
Let's see here. You cannot pay voters directly. It's going too far, even for Americans. Musk's call is doubtful, to say the least. Most experts who have stated that the donations Musk are making are into a gray area, and some think it's even illegal. Too far into the gray area. I think one should question how Musk spends his money on this election campaign, says Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro on Sunday. The question is whether there will be any consequences if Trump wins in 2 weeks. For who has the courage and the resources to lay it out with both the President of the United States and the richest man in the world? Again, we're getting this weird sort of twist where, this time Trump's the one who's going to cheat. Are you noticing this, Ludwig?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who feel that way, right? I mean, it does depend on how you interpret the 2020 election as well, right? I think there are people who feel like, okay, well, Trump was cheated the last time, so he would be justified in cheating this time, for example. Or they're kind of just bracing for that he's going to try to, bring his lawyers if he loses by like a small margin, for example.
Sure.
Or yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much into the 2020. Maybe we could do like an entire stream on that. But that's I'd like to do it after the election. I think people are just a little bit too pumped up around what's going on now. So That it's hard to say anything that's not going to be processed in a kind of bipartisan way.
Henrik says, if Trump wins, rigged. If Harris wins, rigged. Well, Benjamin Netanyahu is probably going to be the winner, regardless of who wins in the White House, right? Elon Musk.
The problem is that I think people just feel like it's going to be rigged, no matter what. They're coming in with that expectation. I think there's not been clarity to that either. It's been brought up many times in the interviews with Donald Trump and JD Vance if he accepts the loss in 2020, and there's no clear interview where he actually says yes. So
I mean, imagine JD Vance though, considering his political career, would you sort of torpedo your own career going down with a Trump ship in such a way? I just feel like Vance would flip on Trump if he went insane without the power, right?
What do you mean in that case?
No, like if Trump tries to sort of play this whole, like, let's say Harris wins and there's grounds for Trump to sort of do the whole rigged thing, and considering his track record, I don't know if and the I'm choosing my words very carefully here, and the preparation that the people in power would have this time around, we're not going to really see another January 6th or anything like it. So what we're looking at is Trump probably just sort of pulling out all of his political capital, trying to fight this, and probably losing, unfortunately, right? And if you're JD Vance in that situation, are you going to go down with that ship?
Well,
he's a pretty competent politician. He has a bright future, essentially, right?
Yeah, good point. That's it's a very good point. I mean, the one thing is that you could try to sneak out of it, but let's say like the MAGA base continues to exist, then you if you get like the Mike Pence, brand of the traitor, right? I mean, his career is basically over, right? Because he refused to kind of deny the certification, in a sense. That was sort of the meme that was going around in 2020, that he was supposed to just reject the electors on behalf of Trump, and they were gonna bring in some other electors, and they, like, a lot of the people who came in J6 were sort of that's what set it off, in a sense, because he was starting to accept the electors. So and Vance was asked about this as well, like, what would you do in that situation? And then he sort of implied that he would actually do what Trump wanted him to do. But as you're saying, like, Vance is a careerist. I don't think he wants to get dragged the same way that like Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani is being dragged currently. That's sort of the alternative. He's going to come in as some kind of like fixer guy if Trump loses, and try to come up with something to turn it around. Because Giuliani is basically being completely dragged. His court cases are more or less done, and he has to like give away his cars and his apartment in New York and stuff to some of these election workers as a result of that trial. So I don't see Vance doing that. He'll just go silently. He'll just sort of disappear silently and hopefully just reemerge later. It's a very difficult question as to how this Trump thing is going to end if he doesn't win. So yeah, we'll pray for the best.
We will, yes. Okay, so Elon Musk now has so many hats in this election campaign that one can be just dizzy from the possibilities of conflicts of interest. One of those hats is very small, by the way. Musk owns and operates several companies that have large contracts with the American government. It includes sensitive cooperation with intelligence and defense, which has an impact on national security. These companies are directly affected by laws and regulations. He also runs several so-called super PACs, both openly and in hiding, that work to influence the public and get Trump elected. One of them, America PAC, is engaged at the grassroots level to get people to the polling stations. And then there's Musk's role as owner of X, the world's most expensive echo chamber, formerly known as Twitter. There he spreads propaganda and conspiracy theories, raises Trump-friendly accounts, and provides platform for questionable influencers. And to be honest, he's gotten worse at it after he became sort of openly pro-Trump. Now it's just like things that are straight up just wrong. It's just, he's gone full sort of like boomer on Facebook, just sharing AI generated photos of like, wow, I can't believe they got this sort of Labrador to ride a ride a turtle, right?
He posts like over 200 times per day. Usually, like the volume of sheer posts that he's doing is quite staggering. So I don't know if like that's part of the reason. He's just looking at something for a second and then he's just retweeting "wow" or something on these
Wow.
posts, and then he gets
there's
community
like a
noted and
community note saying that this photo is AI generated.
yeah, I mean, that's the one you shared with me. He was sharing some kind of fake Atlantic headline or something. Some paid some newspaper site that like it doesn't actually exist, but he shared it and like, oh wow, this is really important. But that's more or less how Twitter works, because the community notes are so slow, and even if you get them, like okay, maybe 10 million people have seen it before it gets community noted. And so the system is like, okay, it's interesting just to see how much misinformation is out there, but in terms of trying to curb misinformation, it's completely useless. So it's just kind of a playground if you want to be a bot or run active measures all day or psyops, then Twitter is that kind of playground, and I don't think it's going to be there forever. So for the people who want to do that, I think probably now is the time. Like this is your opportunity.
Well, you post to your heart's content. Yeah.
Remember this time, like you were alive during this time where you could basically go on that social media platform and post anything you want, like almost pretty much just say whatever you liked and be retweeted.
You could, I mean,
like
you can even go on
times.
4chan, right, and like post anything you want, but you'll get called a retard immediately. On Twitter, there's nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, on 4chan it goes away after a certain time or something, but
that too.
On Twitter it just kind of stays up. So it's a very unique experience to be a part of the kind of 4chanification of the biggest news site we've ever seen. But yeah, it's not going to last. In my perspective, there's going to have to be some change. Like after the election, like Musk is just done with it or something. He's going to sell it to somebody else for like a quarter
what's
of the
going to
price.
suck is if it's Twitter or whatever replaces it, it's just going to be very clean, sanitized, sort of GAE approved thing. In that sense, I would rather just not have the platform and just nuke it and nuke Facebook, I guess. Just get rid of all the big ones, sort of like the mass social media sites, and go back to something else.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like, what's the next thing? I see some people using Blue Sky. I've been curious about trying that out. But yeah, there's not going to be like this one big platform anymore. And I think Twitter has lost a lot of users. So you don't know how much that is in terms of bots and actual users. But just because of the lack of moderation, there's going to be a lot of people who are simply not interested in participating anymore. And even if you bring in a new owner, like who says like a shitlib or something, and they'll censor it very closely, then it's like, okay, you've already lost a lot of those people who cared about that censorship, and then you're going to lose the people who are there because they can just shit talk and do JQ posting all day. So you're losing the other half of the people that you actually have generating content. So it's a difficult balancing act. I feel like it's going to be very hard to turn that around and get back to where it was.
Okay, let's see here. Saying, okay, yeah, he's conspiracy theorist from Trump funding accounts and provides information from questionable influencers. Some of them have a rough connection with Russia. I mean, that must be like Tim Pool or something.
Miles Chong is like one of these. I mean, he writes Russia Today, and he's one of these guys that he tweets constantly. So
Musk is now a politician. Trump has promised in a place in his future government. Musk is going to become a kind of waste minister who examines government agencies. That's kind of based, honestly. Just have someone whose job it is to be like, yeah, you're spending too much money. Of course, it's very open to corruption, so we'll see how that goes.
I mean, if it's going to be like Twitter, he could fire everybody and then it stops working.
Oh, that would be great.
But at least, you get less government spending.
On a whim, he just gets rid of like 1 million functionaries overnight. Okay. Shadow president. Many of the richest people in the United States have dreamed of becoming president. The keys to the White House are the ultimate status symbol. Several have tried to move from supporter to candidate. Michael Bloomberg, for example, spent $10 billion of his own money on a failed attempt in 2020. Elon Musk cannot become president. He immigrated to the United States from South Africa. For the next few weeks, he gets the answer to how close can he get. Musk is about to position himself as a kind of shadow president. Trump seems willing to give him an almost free rein, and the duo is currently well placed to take a win on November 5. Do you have any closing comments to that?
No, I think it'll be interesting. Government by Elon and Tucker, if that does happen.
Do you think Elon and Tucker would get along?
Like,
imagine them in the Oval Office with Trump. Like, what are they talking about?
Maybe they just have each have their things that they want to do, or it's hard to sell. I mean, I'm leaning very hard on cynicism with a lot of these people, that they're just going to try to enrich themselves on these positions. How many of them have like genuine idealism? It's very difficult. Not a lot. I don't suspect that, but yeah, we could look at the last thing. If you could bring up the JD Vance tweet, because
JD Vance, yeah,
on the topic of idealism and like the future of the Trump admin. So he says here, the United States should fight against the persecution of Christians all over the world, and it will when President Trump is back in the White House. Kamala Harris has done nothing. So it's has a screenshot here, I guess, from Truth Social. Or yeah, it's Retruth at the bottom there. So it says Kamala Harris did nothing, as 120,000 Armenian Christians were horrifically persecuted and forcibly displaced in Artsakh. Christians around the world will not be safe if Kamala Harris is president of the United States. When I am president, I will protect the persecuted Christians. I will work to stop the violence and ethnic cleansing, and we will restore peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So, like, my first thought with this is like, okay, if they actually mean this could be very, very interesting. That there's, two thoughts when I read these things, that because of who JD Vance is and RFK Jr. and Tucker Carlson, the connections they have, I sort of suspected that, okay, they're gonna say we're gonna like save Christians, but in reality, it's just some policy they've gotten from Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I don't think we have time to go through all of this article. It was written in the Blaze, right? But it's quite long. But it's written by two. They have like two writers here who are actually not authors at the Blaze. That's why the quality is so good. They're Armenian activists for these sort of Armenian interest groups. But just to explain on the situation a little bit, like Armenia and Azerbaijan are sort of these two. I think they're neighboring countries that are both I made a video about this on my channel. They are what you consider Russian sphere countries that have like their own security agreements. Both in a sense, in theory, on paper, are promised Russian protection, and that's kind of a problem when you have like one Christian country and a Muslim country that are fighting each other, and you're supposed to guarantee military protection to both of them. But of course, there are other players involved, like Turkey. NATO has been involved because Azerbaijan actually provides oil to European countries, and that's been seen as a kind of an energy security policy, so that they won't be too reliant on Russian oil. So if you look at it from that perspective, this is just like a Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs thing for them, that we need to help Christians, quote unquote, there. But in reality, they're just going to push the shit in of the Azerbaijanians because they're helping Europe get oil from somewhere else than Russia, right? That's one perspective on it, but the
so what are we just doing Cold War stuff with Russia through Christianity? Is that it?
I mean, that's one of the ways to look at it, but like the other thing, could you look up? I'll see if I can find the link to Open Doors here, because they have this is like a Christian organization. Let's see if I see Christian persecution. I'll just find the link for you. So you have opendoors.com, that is an organization that tracks Christian persecution, and they have like a map for this. Let's see if I can find it. World Watch List, Open Door International. Yeah, here it is. I'll link it to you in the private chat because it's a bit more. I recommend this article, by the way, but I don't think we have time to read all of it because it's quite long. But I'll show you.
I will add, while I'm pulling this up, in the description of this video is the link to a Nordic Discord channel that is being run by sort of the Beowulf Foundation guys, and is open to anyone from the Nordics. If you're a fan of this show, and interested in a lot of the ideas here, I'd recommend you to take a look there to find like-minded people. So follow the link in the description for that.
Okay, did you get the link in the private chat? Because there you can get like an interactive map that where this organization has been mapping out Christian persecution around the world. If you just accept the cookies here, so you see like the darker red areas, that's the heavier persecuted, and they have like a number there considering how high they are on the list. And you could click on the individual one, so you get the tab on the right side that gives you like a brief overview. No, not that one. I think if you click on the you click on the countries on the map, there you can see like how many Christians live there, and how they rank on like violence, surveillance, family life. So it's like when I was thinking about like Christian persecution, this is what I was thinking about. If Vance and Trump are going to go to war against India, for example, see if you can find India there. Yeah, they're number 11, right? And they have 71 million Christians living in India, who are now living under like this Indian nationalist government. For those of you who watched the Steve Turley and Aaron McIntyre stream, Turley was like waxing lyrically about how great it is that India now has a government that is like Indian, it's like Hindu Sharia law basically. but in praxis that means that the Christians who live there are going to be pushed out. There's not going to be room for these 70 million Christians in the kind of Hindu nationalist world, and in this kind of based multipolar world order where they go back to tradition in a sense. China also has like 100 million Christians that are being surveillanced and kind of pushed down. And it's in these regions of the world where Christianity is on the ascendancy. It's on the decline in the West, but they are ascendant in these regions where they're also being persecuted very hard. So I was wondering if J.D. Vance and Trump are serious about this, if they're actually going to do some interventionist action, like a war on Christian persecution against these countries. I would actually respect if they did that, but this is something that because some of them are like multipolarity fans, and like Vance, his wife is Indian, and you start getting into like the kind of diciness of actually
going to war with
because
India.
Like Azerbaijan is not the first thing that I was thinking about. I mean, it is certainly a case there that that should be looked after. But if they're serious, like this is where it's at. Even in Mexico, you see that they have a rating on it.
Yeah, Hendrik said it in the chat. I mean, to some extent, this is just pandering to the Christian vote, right?
Well, yeah, it is. But if they actually, we talked about, are they actually idealists, right? And this has been talked about by Tucker Carlson. You have a lot of like podcasters like Candace Owens. So they keep talking about like Christian persecution. And in America, you think about like it's like the war on Christmas, or the like these various, the ability to Bible reading in school, and these culture war issues that they talk about. But if you talk about like actual hardline Christian persecution, it's you have to go a little bit further out. But even in Mexico, you can see if you click on it there.
Sorry, which one?
Mexico. You have to go to the left side of the map. It's because they're talking about how like a lot of these cartels, a lot of these cartels are going after ministries. So there's many places they could go to enact this kind of policy. And if they actually did this seriously, I would respect it. But as it is now, I'm feeling like it's kind of like this pandering thing where the people who live in
so here you have J.D. Vance increasing his harem to 13 Indian women.
I must breed. I must repopulate the new American master caste.
He's basically just doing like bio warfare on the Indians by outbreeding.
Catholic. I want the Catholic Indians to come in. Usha 2, Usha 3.
Yeah.
Usha 4. So
I don't know. It seems a bit tame to me.
But I mean, that would at least be like it would be kind of similar to the Bush era, actually, if they went with something like this, because you could use this
if
as
they actually sort of intervened. Yeah.
for intervention instead of like the war on terror. You go on the war on Christian persecution, and then you could reignite that, and you could become friends with Russia again. To do that, I don't know if like it does kind of clash with the multipolar project, right? Because the BRICS summit went off this week, and a lot of people are giddy about the China, Russia, and all these African countries that are going to have their own currency. But I think if the United States just shows up and like, okay, you want to be friends with Russia again or something, and we can go attack China, I think they would say yes.
Yeah.
I think it's BRICS is more of a losers club, honestly. If they were invited into one of these other clubs, I think most of them would just discard the BRICS dollar or whatever phony projects they've got going.
Well, I mean,
this is just me.
You play the hand that you're dealt, like.
Yeah, of course, but this is just me fantasizing that this might be something that they're doing. I don't think they're serious about this at all. But they
would
might
be very cool, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would at least be a kind of like realignment geopolitically. If like you say like Christianity, for example, is the civilizational driving force or something, that you put the global north against the global south. And maybe they could do some boycotts of France if they celebrate Pride too hard or something. But like the actual bombs should be reserved for North Korea and these these African countries, hopefully. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah. I don't hope there's going to be a war in Iran. I think someone said it's going to be like a crash course for World War III. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I think with that, we are getting to the end of tonight's sort of planned content here. I don't think we have anything else we wanted to talk about.
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, very good.
Finish off.
Yeah, finish it a little bit early.
Yeah, of course, if anybody wants to go check out my channel, I do post a bit more regularly now. So it's a fairly new channel, but I put up some new videos recently. I'm going to keep putting up a couple of videos per week. So you could go on LPTV. Maybe you'll just link it in the description.
I have to link it because it's very hard to find it for some reason.
Yeah, well, it's still like a channel in its infancy, I think. Or maybe I've just like branded the entire thing wrong. We'll hope.
I don't know. If you search LPTV Joker, that's the only way I can get it to show up. Because your Joker video, for some reason, got the algorithm going for a bit.
Yeah, we'll try. I'll make some more rage bait later. Hopefully, I can get some eyeballs on that. But that's enough for me. So
the people just demand more memes, Luddick. I mean, that's
I think I was gonna do some more reaction videos actually that I think would be funny, because there's a lot of these fringe characters. In terms of, I mean, I'll explain some more of my political views and do some detailed dives on that channel. But I also just wanted to do some reaction videos. I need to look at certain characters. They say like Hans-Jørgen Lysglimt Johansen, for example, in Norway. These guys who have like one-man right-wing parties that get 0.2% of the vote. Like you have Mats Palsvig in Denmark, for example, with the Prosperity Party. I really want just to do some videos just reacting to his interviews and some of the stuff that he's putting out, because it's an interesting universe, to say the least. You just go look at these various maybe alternative for Sweden. I'll take a look at as well.
I definitely recommend. You did a video recently on sort of like Texan Muslims.
Some
obscure sort of right-wing Muslim movement going on in the American South.
So yeah, I think that's what I'm looking at, stuff like that, Muslim propaganda towards Texans, I think there's a lot going on. There's so much madness on the internet right now, so I think it's a good niche, good market to be in.
Roger Scruton sent us 200 Norwegian kroner as a gift from Tromsø. Hope you enjoyed your stay. We did. We very much enjoyed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it means a lot, and of course it goes to pay the bills on StreamYards and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching this week's episode of The Longhouse. As I mentioned, if you're Nordic and you're interested in sort of hanging out and chatting in a Discord channel where I am also hanging out. Follow that link in the description below. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. So have a good weekend and a good rest of your night. Bye-bye, everyone.